I suck at Pokemon.
No! No! No!
So why not do the hardest thing a Pokemon fan can do, a Nuzlocke, and I forecast as the new Pokemon Legend ZA is coming out, we will do it in the Pokemon X and Y games. We get greeted by Professor Sycamore and he asks what gender we are.
What's the they/them option, huh? Where's the equality?
We pick boy and call him Loki, cause it's short for my real name. The professor yaps a whole lot of information and flashbangs us with the gates of heaven. We get woken up by a family's fletching. We then put on our drip and head downstairs. Our mother greets us and tells us to go make friends with the neighbors, and just as I was heading out the door, the Huzz approached. They tell us that they are the neighbors and that the professor gathered 5 kids to start their Pokemon journeys. They then said to meet them in the next town. We make our way over and find them sitting at a table. We meet our new friends Tierno, Serena, Shauna, and Trevor. We talk for a bit and the conversation of nicknames comes up. I said that my nickname will be locked in since we're gonna need to be to win this. But now it's time for our starter Pokemon. The smart decision would be Fennekin since it's great for the first gym. I decided against that and went for the first Pokemon starter I ever had, Froakie. Now since in a Nuzlocke you're meant to name your Pokemon, I call him Walter Jr. and honestly I don't know why, but I did anyway. They then hand me a Pokédex and a letter from the professor that I meant to give to my mum. But before I can do that I have to fight my first battle. But it honestly didn't last long. A few bubbles and Shauna's Fennekin went down in a breeze. We get home and give our mum the letter. We then head to Route 2 where Serena and Shauna are. But before anything, we had to learn for the 100th time how to catch a Pokemon. Quick tutorial later, and Serena gives me and Shauna some Pokeballs. Which means this challenge officially begins, and now it's time to see what our first Pokemon is. Ah, hell no. We could have got a Fletchling or a Bunnelby. Just something other than a Weedle. I was very annoyed, which is why I called it Y. After catching the Weedle, I healed and made our way back to Shauna, but before we can go forward, we must fight a trainer blocking the way. And oh, that was very easy. We're now in Santaloon Forest, which means another encounter, and thankfully this time it's something actually useful, a Fletchling. We catch it and make our way out of the forest. Oh, and we call them Hawks by the way. But not before we encounter a trainer with a Pikachu. Thankfully it was lower level and didn't kill us, but it was damn close. We get out of the forest and everyone goes their separate ways. But for us, we have a new encounter. But first we fight the first few trainers, almost get ran over by a skater kid, get emoted on, and then heal our Pokemon. We then head to the grass to see our encounter.
Get out of here!
Yeah, because we already have this Pokemon, we're actually able to do it again, until we get a new one. And we do, a Bunnelby. We name it Bugs with 2 G's because we're cool, head to the gym, but wait. The guy that almost ran us over is sitting here, and he wants to fight. Well, I'm down. Oh well, that didn't take long, and now I feel sorry. But before the gym, we need one more encounter on Route 22. We find a Bidoof and catch it, heal up our team and head to the gym. We make light work with the trainers, but now it's time for Viola, the bug gym leader. We quickly destroy Surskit but have massive trouble with Vivian. Vivian is a demon when it comes to early game. If you're not ready for this gym, you might struggle. Thanks to Vivian's Harden and Infestation, which traps the Pokemon in the battle as well as damaging it every turn, yeah, this wasn't easy. And we almost lost a Pokemon in the first gym. Fletchling took too much damage from Infestation and Tackle, getting it down to 2. But thanks to the quick attack, we went first, killing off Vivian and ending the gym. Now it's time to leave, but there's someone waiting for us at the exit. It's a girl by the name of Alexa, the gym's leader younger sister. She congratulates us and gives us the XP share for our victory. We make our way through Route 4, finding a bee. No, not that bee, this bee.
Better say something. You like jazz?
We name him after my favorite bee character, Barry B. Benson, and head our way up to Lumio City. But then again, there is someone waiting for us. This time it's 2 Pokemon Voyagers who know Professor Sycamore, Dexio and Sinner. They offer us a guide to Professor Sycamore's laboratory. We accept and make our way through the tunnel. We're now in Lumio City, a beautiful place where people and Pokemon coexist. We make our way to the laboratory where me and Sinner head in together. She tells us that the professor is up on level 3. We take the elevator up and walk forwards to see the professor. He takes a look at our Pokédex and is amazed by the 25 Pokemon I've seen. He says why he decided to give us a Pokemon and let us go on our journey. And while he's talking, both Serena and Shauna come in, and without even saying hello to them, he says that we should have a Pokemon battle and that he will be my opponent. He starts out the battle with Bulbasaur, and if you don't know, you get to pick between the 3 Kanto starters, but before you can pick, you must beat him. We make light work of the Bulbasaur of only needing a few pegs to finish him off. Squatter was a little bit more difficult with it using Withdraw, raising his defense, but with time he also goes down. Now comes our Charmander. I send out Walt Jr. using his newly learnt move Water Pulse to end the battle. But it's now time to pick. You may think that I would choose Bulbasaur since we don't have a grass type, but Bulbasaur won't be useful for any of the gyms coming up besides the next one, which is Rock. And since we already have a water type Pokemon, Charmander is the best bet. He's good against 2 gems, and with having the best mega, it was almost a no-brainer. We head back down to level 1 to see a tall orange-haired man talking to Sinner about if he would be able to meet with the children the professor picked out. Well, it's his lucky day since I'm here and obviously the best one out of the bunch. We get called over by Sinner. Lysander goes on about how the professor helped him out and how knowledge is power, but then he starts talking about how vital it is that the world becomes a better place. He leaves and Sinner starts wondering what beautiful world Lysander has in his mind. This is like foreshadowing to the max. Just as we're about to leave, we get stopped by the rest of the Goonies, saying that they'll see us around, but Serena wants to talk about something in the nearby caf. It seems that this is my chance. We head into the caf to see Serena, but 2 unpredictable faces also appear. It's Lysander and the champion of the reason, Diantha. Lysander goes on about how well Diantha played such a young beauty in the silver screen and says, wouldn't you rather remain young and beautiful forever? Diantha is weirded out by this question, and rightfully so. She says youth may be beautiful, but it's not all there is to life. This seemed to piss Lysander off. He says you were chosen to be a movie star, correct? Isn't it your duty to be beautiful forever? Everything beautiful should stay that way forever, and I would make this world unchanging and eternal so all beauty will last forever. I can't stand the thought of the world becoming uglier. And as soon as he finishes, he's noticed us. Trying to distract us from the words he just spoke, he goes on about Diantha, telling us more about her than we actually know about him. And at this moment, I knew something was off about this Lysander guy. He now leaves and Diantha comes over to talk to us. She asks who we are, but it seems she already knows our name because of Lysander. The conversation ends with Diantha saying that she is a Pokemon trainer herself and looks forward to battling us someday. We now leave the caf and head towards the next location, but then we receive a holo clip. It's Tiano. He says to come to Route 5 to come check out the wild Pokemon. We rush towards the gate and exit, but before we can go any further, a Lucario comes out of nowhere. But this wasn't any wild Lucario, it was the fighting type gym's leader Karina's Pokemon. She says that a Lucario got drawn by somebody's aura, and it must have been ours, and that Lucario has taken a liking to me. I say thanks and she leaves, but we have more important matters, our Route 5 encounter, and I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet. It was a dog, and we call it Crypto. And on our way to Tiana and Trevor, our Fletchling evolved into a Fletchinder. We meet up with Tiana and Trevor. Tiana hits an emo, then asks if we want to battle. I accept to make light work of his Corphish, but then we encounter a trainer with a Kadabra. It was giving me a rough time getting Wild Junior almost down to half, and if I left him in the battle, he would have died. So I had to make a sacrifice just to make sure our starter doesn't get killed. We sent in Skylar the Bidoof. He lives the first confusion, but I need his last ever turn to heal Walt Jr. the Froakie. He dies a noble sacrifice and will be remembered for his courage. Anyway, Walt Jr. evolves into Frogadier. I mean, look at this guy. He's just one of the best secondary starter evolutions ever. And Kakuna evolves into Beedrill. We step 1 foot into the town before a holo chip interrupts the peace. We head into the big castle where Shauna and the castle owner are. We talk for a bit trying to get information about Mega Evolution, but the owner doesn't have any idea what it is. But before we could end the conversation, someone comes talking about it's back and it's blocking the bridge on Route 7. The owner of the castle storms out to have a look, and me and Shauna decide to follow, making our way to Route 7 where a gigantic Snorlax is blocking the path. The castle owner says that there is only one way to get the Snorlax to wake up, and that's to get the Pokeflute, but the only way to get that is by going through Route 6 to the Perfume Palace. On our way there, we destroy some upper class trainers, take their money and XP. We get enough XP for Draco the Charmander to evolve into Charmeleon, but we also have an encounter on Route 6, where we make our way through the tall grass to find an Esper, which is honestly kinda goated. We call it Mob, but I later find out that it's a girl, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. We get to the palace and make our way to the gate, but the butler says that the entry fee is $1,000, and I'm like, what, $1,000? You trying to scam us or something?
Why, you cockamamie two-bit? Nah, I oughta.
Anyway, me and Shauna give in and give the butler $1,000 that is required to pass. We get inside the building and see a man shouting, "Where is it? Where could it be?" Well, he's talking about his Furfrou, and Shauna came up with the bright idea to go look for his Furfrou, saying, well, if my Pokemon went missing, I would be panicking, wishing someone would find it. Even though this guy's butler just scammed us out of $1,000, we go and find the man's Furfrou, but first we go do a puzzle, and honestly, I can't believe that this used to be hard as a kid. This was super easy. Anyway, we trap the Furfrou, and the owner decides to throw a fireworks show because the situation demanded it or something. He tells Shauna that we can watch the fireworks from the second story balcony. I make it up there and Shauna's waiting, and she's like, "I've never watched a firework alone with a boy before. We haven't even seen them yet, but I know I'll never forget these fireworks because I'm here with you, Loki." And I'm like, damn, I've not said a single word to this girl and we're already in that like that, what the frick? Anyway, we watch the fireworks show and then the owner and his butler come out. We tell him that we need the Pokeflute to wake up the Snorlax. He sends his butler to go grab it, he comes back and hands us the Pokeflute. We're now back at the Snorlax, and I don't know if this counts as an encounter or not, but since I don't know and ignorance is bliss, I'm catching it and adding it to the team. After a few failed attempts, Snorlax finally stays in the ball, and what not a better name for the Snorlax than Queso. We continue through Route 7 to find Serena standing by the stairs that lead up. Trevor and Tione catch up, and Serena wants to have a battle with everyone, which means a double battle. The battle doesn't last long, and honestly was easy. Serena then comes up with the idea to go to the next town over, Ambriot Town. We head through a cave and find a crying baby, but Queso decides to eat it. Kill it. We made it out of the cave and continue down Route 8, where we find a trainer with an axe and honestly this guy was trouble, almost killing Snorlax and Walt Jr., but after a water pulse, it goes down. After the battle while walking through some grass, an Inkay appears, marking it as our encounter, and he was giving us trouble. I started the encounter with Hawks, and Inkay being a psychic type, it was one accident waiting to happen. So I sent out Draco the Charmeleon, and well, after a few attacks, I will soon regret it. No! No! I didn't think it would have that! Why does it have that? You mother... Why do you have that? Yeah, this was a rough blow to the team. Draco would have been a powerful Pokemon late game, but no, because I made a stupid decision and should have just switched. We make it down the end of Route 8 and Serena comes by talking about the fossil laboratory and how we should check it out because it might have information about Mega Evolution. While in the fossil laboratory, we find a scientist standing by, and the scientist is like, I've seen you've been drawn by the wonderful world of fossil research, and we're like, no, we're actually here to know if you know anything about Mega Evolution. He says that he doesn't, but since we are students of the professor, we must know about Pokemon fossils. I say yes like I'm an expert. He says that Pokemon restored from fossils might have something to do with Mega Evolution, and that his assistant is in Glittering Cave looking for some fossils, and that we should go help. Now to get to Glittering Cave, we need to ride a Rhyhorn, and while riding it, we find a big hippo, we catch it, and call it a Horton. If you know, you know. We put him on the team replacing Beedrill. We make it to the cave and go in. While walking down the long scary path, there's something hiding in the deep dark of the caves. It appears out from the hidden depths and it's an Onyx, and we call him Bruce because he looks like a Bruce. We make it to the end of the cave and see Team Flare members standing there, and he's pissed. He's like, don't you know not to play with fire, kid? And I'm like, yeah, but I still want to beat your ass. Yeah, he didn't like that and he sends his hound on me like Mr. Burns. But my boy Walt Jr. has my back, bro. We defeat some more grunts and team up with Serena for a double battle to wipe out all the Team Flare members in the cave. Me and Serena find the assistant scientist and he says to pick which fossil we want. I decide to go for the jaw fossil, which pretty much gives us a full dinosaur which might come in handy. We make our way out of the cave and go back to Ambriot Town. Now we're back at Ambriot Town, and since we got the jaw fossil Pokemon, why not redeem a coupon for a free Pokemon? Sadly, you can't give fossil Pokemon a nickname when you first get them, so he's just going to be known as Dino Nuggy. We go through the Amber Aquarium down to the exit, make our way through the beach to the next town, Sillage City. While there, a guy in a fighting attire gives us a tip, telling us that we need a bike to access the gym. And I guess it was my lucky day or something, because when we went into the bike store, the guy there told us that we were the 10,001 customer and that we would get a free bike. Now before the gym, I wanted to get my next encounter, and even though it's not the best encounter we could have got, that being an Eevee or a Hawlucha, it's definitely not the worst. Now I had a dumb moment and forgot to name the Pokemon, so for now he has no name. Now it's time for the gym, and even though we had some few close calls, it was pretty easy. The actual gym leader himself wasn't hard at all, and we actually only needed one Pokemon. Walt Jr. has a crit water pulse, killing Grant's Amora. Even though his Tyrunt was a bit more difficult, it still only required a few water pulses to finish him off, and with it beating the second gym. We now move on to the next town, but first we gotta get stalked by Team Flare members. We follow the Team Flare members all the way to the next town where this one guy gives a random ass speech and then disappears. I wonder if that's important. Alright, I've had enough of this town. Karina? I think my Lucario wants to battle you. Alright, say less. Well, that was easy. Maybe I should be the gym leader instead. But I shouldn't be getting too high and mighty, because I end up making a huge mistake soon. But first, it's time for an encounter, and yeah, I wasn't very happy with this one. Ah! I already have a flight! I don't need another one! Stop giving me the same type of Pokemon! Now this is where the problem happens. I went into a double battle expecting it to be easy. Well, it wasn't. Our team is annoyingly weak to fighting types, and the only thing we have for fighting types is our flying types. That was a lot of types. Anyway, in this battle, I wasn't able to send out Hawks to Fletchinder because of Mr. Mime. So I stupidly decided to go into a rock Pokemon when there was clearly a fighting type in the battle. Let me explain. Dino Nuggy has a bite move that, to be honest, wouldn't have done that much damage to Mr. Mime, but anyway, that's where my thoughts landed on. But I soon came to realize that was a bad mistake. But I just made a stupid decision. That was stupid. Why did I just send in my rock type Pokemon against a fighting type? Mob, I need to... Damn, this is not going well. No! I knew it was gonna freaking happen. Bro, we are not cut out for fighting types. We have too many Pokemon weak to fighting types. And it just had to coincidentally send out a freaking psychic type, so now I can't send out my... Sadly, Dino Nuggy wasn't able to become anything more than that. Truly a sad death. After a long and grueling fight, we win, only sustaining one casualty. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. Thanks to this battle, Mob the Esper evolved into a Meowstick. We move on into the caves where we find a Wobbuffet, a dangerous Pokemon to fight because of its Shadow tag. Pretty much meaning I was not able to flee or switch into my other Pokemon, meaning if I didn't catch it, we would have lost another one, which is why I went to go buy repels just to make sure it didn't happen again. The cave itself wasn't hard, some close calls but no deaths, and we move on to the next location, Shallow City. We meet up with Tiana and Trevor, and they tell us about a Pokemon Mega Evolution Guru, and that he might be located in the Tower of Mystery. But before we go in, Tiana hands us an intriguing stone. To cut a long explanation of plot down, we head into the tower where we see a giant Mega Lucario statue. The large statue has a green door placed on the bottom of the podium. We went into the room to find the gym leader Karina and the Guru. Well, the Guru is actually Karina's grandfather, and this guy knows a lot about Mega Evolution. The rest of the gang appears and we all get told about what Mega Evolution is and that it's a transcendent of all other normal evolution itself. And it's an evolution of Pokemon that can't evolve any further. But it's only temporary, not lasting entirely but only for minutes. And to actually achieve Mega Evolution, you need a Mega Stone and a Mega Ring. And Gunkin, which is his name, would like all of us to have these items ourselves, but he actually likes the amount for all of us to have one. And so he asks us to decide out of the 5 of us who gets it. And for how it's decided, a Pokemon battle was chosen. With only a few close calls, the battle was simple. Snorlax kills a Meowstick, and then an Absol, but he did struggle a bit with Aquilidin. But switching into Hawks to Fledgster and use Ember and Peck gets the job done. But I guess my showing of strength wasn't good enough since Karina herself wanted me to beat the gym before I can actually partake in Mega Evolution. The gym itself was simple, defeat the trainers and watch the rails go up. The gym leader herself wasn't difficult at all, but her Mugchamp had a move that I didn't know of, Rock Tomb. It is Hawks and kills him in one, and honestly this one hurts the most because he's been our savior this entire run and has been here with us since the beginning, so Hawks will honestly be remembered as a GOAT. We defeat our Hawlucha and end the gym, and now it's time to go to the next town. But before then, we need to fight Karina again on top of the Mystery Tower. She gives us our Lucario so we can test out the Mega Evolution. Short but fun fight later, and she decides that we should keep the Lucario. Now I'm not sure if this is against the rules or not, but since the game is giving it, I will take it. And before we leave, Serena gives us the Surf TM so we can surf across the water. In Coumarine City, we find the Professor and Diantha talking in the train station. The Professor congratulates us on obtaining Mega Evolution, and before he leaves, gives us the Fly TM. We take the train over to the next town, and now it's time for the Grass Gym. But before then, I gotta get my counter on Route 13, or Lumiose Badlands, and we catch it. And after that, Queso slam dunks on a Dunk Trio and gives enough XP for Walt Jr. to evolve into Greninja. Before the gym, we need to have a rival battle with Serena, and it doesn't last long. Snorlax takes down a Meowstick, a Lucario, and then takes down an Absol and a Quilladin. Something else that didn't last long was the gym. We made our way up to the gym leader, fighting trainers, and honestly, I had no trouble. The gym leader himself was easy too. We had one close call, but I had it covered. With Yaki Doodle, and yes, that is his name, the Staravia taking down his Jumpluff, then Snorlax takes down his Go-Go, and with a little bit of amnesia and sleep talk, finishes off his Weeping Bell. Now we do what all 12-year-olds do, and destroy a criminal organization base. After bringing justice, we go back to Lumiose City, but this time we can fight the gym. After completing puzzles, we get to the gym leader, Clement. The Lucario takes down his Magneton, but almost dies in the Heliolisk. But Snorlax does what he always does and clutches the battle, killing his Heliolisk and his Emolga. After the gym leader calls from the Professor and he wants to meet at a red cafe in the city. After meeting up with 2 grown adults, we head to Route 14 to meet up with our friends. And we do what all friends do and fight each other with literal monsters. After defeating Serena, we get to the gym, defeating trainers, and honestly had no struggle at all. The gym leader itself wasn't hard until our last Pokemon. Mega Lucario kills a Mawile, Snorlax kills a Mr. Mime, but Sylveon was real trouble. You know shit gets serious when Snorlax isn't good enough to kill a Pokemon. We get a paralyze on the Sylveon thanks to Snorlax Body Slam, but the damage he was outputting wasn't as much as the damage his tubby body was inputting. So we send in Greninja, and why you ask? Because the only Pokemon that was going to be any use in this gym did not have a still attacking move, and I feel like I'm the one to blame. Greninja gets Sylveon weak, but then gets hit with a Dazzling Gleam, getting us to 4. It's fine, it's fine. You know, he'll just walk it off. After that closed call, I logged in and was able to kill the Sylveon, meaning we beat the gym, and I just feel like this is too easy right now. We haven't lost any Pokemon that really matter for quite a while. After the gym, we help a Pokemon factory get rid of the Team Flare members that infiltrated it. We destroy the head members, overlooking the other members in the factory, and save the boss. Our kindness provokes the boss to give us a reward, a Master Ball. Over in the next town, we get stopped by Professor Sycamore, and he reminds us about the legendary Pokemon Xerneas, and that he wants us to find it. But a quick side mission of saving an Abominable Snow from Team Flare later. We fly our way to the gym, but before we can fight the gym leader, we have to have another rival battle, and you know how this goes, we have no trouble with this fight. After doing some wacky shit, we fight the gym leader, and even though this should have been our hardest gym yet, since we have nothing effective against Psychic, we actually did fine. 1 or 2 close calls, but in the end we win. After the gym, everyone gets a call from Lysander, and he's like, "You're some ugly motherfuckers, so I'm gonna destroy the world." We head back to Lysander's cafe, defeat some trainers, making them tell us where the hidden door is. We go down to see Lysander, and he wants to battle. His battle was easy, but his Gyarados was a problem. So much of a problem that he had almost my entire team down to half, and the sacrifice was needed. And sadly, Mob was already out. Mob dies, and honestly, this was bad. Sadly, I didn't have my mic on, but I was not happy. But thanks to his sacrifice, we were able to beat Lysander. After beating him, Lysander goes down an elevator, and I try to follow, but I can't because the elevator needs a keycard. So we defeat the 3-head grunts to get the keycard. We go down to find Lysander talking to a tall man, and this tall man decides to trauma dump on us. So much so that Lysander decides to leave. Maybe this is why he wants to destroy the world. We follow Lysander down to see him with a man named Exorcia. Something like that. Anyway, Lysander leaves and we're left here with this man. He says we have great potential and wants to see it for himself, which is kind of freaking weird, but anyway. We battle him and win. After the battle, he says that there are buttons, blue and red, and that one of them switches off the machine that will destroy the world. We picked blue because it's obvious that red was the wrong choice, and blue was correct, but that doesn't matter because this man is pure evil and decides to turn on the machine anyway. We watch as the machine turns on and destroys the land around it. But we know where this is Geosengi Town. We head there to see the damage, then we find their hidden base and the rocks that we've seen a previous Team Flare member go into before. In there was Lysander, and he wants another battle, and this time it's his Minshew, and he kills Yaki Doodle, the Staraptor. And this one hurt more than Mob. Mob was a Pokemon we didn't really use, but had its use when needed, but Yaki was honestly needed for the rest of the journey. We don't have any more casualties in this fight, and after we beat him we need to head down to the machine housing the legendary Pokemon, and we must turn it off. Finding trainers on the way down, but not a single struggle. When down there we get ganged up by Team Flare members. Sharina and Shana take away 2, but we're still left with a few. But again, it's just like the rest, they give us no trouble. We turn off the machine and the Pokemon housed in it wants to battle. But honestly, screw that, I will just throw my Master Ball and get it done over with. Lysander comes into the room, geeks out, with robotic arms, and he wants to battle again. But this time, it was bad. The Gyarados can Mega Evolve, and we have no problem with his Minshew. A close combat by Lucario finishes off, while Junin the Greninja takes down his Pyro, and Lucario takes down his Honchkrow. But now it's time for his Mega Gyarados, and everything was riding on Snorlax. Snorlax is Thunderbolt, and it needs to do damage. He gets hit with an Aqua Tail, getting him down to half. But here comes the longer weighted move, and it did no damage. Snorlax gets hit with an Octatail, killing him, but this wasn't all. I descended a Pokemon that will do damage, and Lucario was the only one. We hit him with Me first, a move that takes the move that the other Pokemon uses against it. We take Gyarados' Earthquake and almost kills it. Gyarados hits his Earthquake and hits Lucario, ending off honestly the one Pokemon that has saved us in this late game. This one was hurting, and it's gonna hurt after. These two Pokemon are the heart of this team, with Snorlax clutching in almost every gym, Lucario taking down almost every single Team Flare Grunt member on his own. These two Pokemon were the hope in my heart that this Nuzlocke was possible. These two Pokemon will never get replaced, so RIP Queso and King Arthur. You will be remembered through all my journeys no matter what generation or what happens. Queso and King Arthur will be remembered as the Pokemon that helped me the most in my first Nuzlocke. We send in Greninja and finish off the Gyarados. We're now back in Anastar City, and we make our way to Route 18 where we encounter a Graveler, catch it and name it Dude. We're now in Koraway Town where we have to have a battle with Professor Sycamore. We take down his Venusaur, Charizard and Blastoise to finish off the battle. We make our way down to Route 19 where we're running on a bridge. Shauna comes out and wants to battle. And we thought that this person that we haven't battled since the start is going to give us trouble. Greninja takes down a Delcatty, but here comes a Goodra. And while this wasn't the team we needed for this fight, Goodra kills Dude, then Crack Tree, then Walt Jr., then the rest of my team. We just wiped his Shauna. I tried multiple times to see if beating her was even possible, and maybe if I was better I could have, but I just didn't have what I needed to defeat this Goodrow. After all the moments, the memories, and the friends we made along the way, I was not satisfied with this Nuzlocke. I feel like we played terribly, and we could have played better, and honestly I reckon I need to redeem myself. So comment down below if we are running this back. So this is it. If you made it to the end, make sure to like and subscribe for more.